Hello. Welcome to Mayday Roleplay. Thank you for joining us as we come together to tell stories of ghosts, beloved characters created by their storytellers who have met their final chapters. We here come to bear witness to last impressions and to learn to say goodbye. This is the game known as Ghost-Fi. But before we turn our next page, some housekeeping is in order. We'd like to thank our handler-level Patreon contributors. Their involvement allows us here at Mayday to continue to produce and tell stories for your viewing pleasure. So thank you to Advanced War Sammy, OGPan, Bimblewart, Cameron S., Kirby Stubble, Moria, Brandon C., Jonathan M., and Ren. If you too would like to contribute to Mayday, be sure to find us on Patreon. You'll get access to early releases, art, bi-monthly games run by Mayday, and our Discord server built around our wonderful community here. And expect VOD exclusive runs of Ghost-Fi by Mayday members like this one today, and Campaign Diary in the near future. If you haven't heard, we've completed our third season of our Delta Green series, Doomed to Repeat, which is now available along with our extensive catalog of completed seasons and shows on our YouTube for VODs, or anywhere you get your podcasts for audio-friendly versions. And be sure to join our bi-weekly live stream of our Vampire the Masquerade campaign, Vegas by Night. And as always, follow us on all major social media platforms or our website for updates on future content and other news. We would also love to thank the wonderful guests who have come to tell stories with us. Top tier creatives in the actual play and TTRPG scene, gifted storytellers, and their beloved characters. Be sure to follow their amazing works on their respective episodes in the descriptions listed. Ghost-Fi is a game about death and grief and the complicated lives of complex characters. This actual play is intended for mature audiences, so please take care of yourself and be aware. Our players are under the guidance of safety tools. An X card can be employed at any time. And with that, let's begin. Let us introduce our cast for today.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm playing Agent Boomer.
And I am Eli. I will be your guide. It's unfair, isn't it? The brutality of our world. That we know that things bump in the darkness. And no matter our best efforts to support that, to be a kind of hero in a way, to be the ones that buckle our bootstraps and take those steps forward to confront such eldritch evil that set to drive us to the breaking points, it doesn't always render good results. And as you lay there in a dinky hotel in Modesto, dying, consumed by something that is so unnatural, and as those final moments fade away, the crunching noises of flesh being torn, the pain that is felt just drifts away, and there is no sound to be heard, no sight to be seen, no feelings to be felt here. We drift away into the nothing. But we all know that there is a lot of something that comes out of nothing. And as Boomer regains a sense of their surroundings here in the void, we enter what is known as the manifestation, a constructed space in which a soul comes to occupy when time on Earth has been done and a new journey is ready to be had. So for Boomer, what is that? What does that look like? What is this space in which gets built around this void?
The space, just to clarify, is it the place that she would go to, or is it just something she would...
Any place in which your soul seeks to find or build for themselves in the end.
Imagine, if you will, like, you know how, like, when you blink, you see nothing, and then in a blink, she's in her kitchen. She's in her kitchen, and it's very natural. It's almost kind of like, you know how sometimes you just blink, you're like, oh, I'm back to it. She's just back in her kitchen. And you will, in the area, you can hear that there's stuff happening behind, like walking. You can hear even some laughing between two people, like almost echoing. But you're hearing life in her basically condo apartment that is behind. But in front, you're gonna especially see some mixing bowls, flour, and different ingredients, because one of Boomer's favorite things is making pancakes. And you can see the beginning, you'll see the making stages of her routine of making pancakes. So, yeah.
Awesome. Describe Boomer in this moment for those who might not know Boomer well. What does Boomer look like? What are they about? Kind of fill those contexts for us.
So Agent Boomer, aka real name Maxine Parker, is actually she is a fairly I was like on the shorter side, if you will. Like 5'5", very you could tell. I would say she is muscular. She's not super skinny, because you could tell she definitely goes and works out. So she actually has a more of an athletic build. She's a very big runner and swimmer. So that's something that I would say, like, you will see like a fitness, but there is definitely she's not frail, muscular. She has black curly hair, like down like a little bit to her shoulders, that is actually put up in a messy bun. What she is wearing might be unconventional, but it's going to be almost like work attire. Like, she has a very nice pressed together, like, white buttoned up shirt. She has some comfortable but yet stylish slacks. And she's even wearing like kind of her fancy black socks, but she likes them because they feel nice. So, but around her is also an apron. It's a silly apron that has 2 over easy eggs where her boobs would be, with a smile of bacon on the bottom. And honestly, it could. I honestly, maybe there's like even the phrase like "let's get cracking" or "look at them eggies" or something like below that, and that's so. It's almost like she got back from work, even though she's making breakfast, or maybe she was heading to work. She doesn't know why, but she just like, oh, this is the outfit, like an outfit she wears quite often and is comfortable with, and is just kind of just like, here's like nice noises in the background to her, like laughter and people just walking around joking while she's just making pancakes. And also a Latina woman. She is I would say you could tell like definitely multi-ethnic, and you will also probably see a buzzing cell phone, or maybe just like the equipment, because she is a very tech heavy person. She does like a lot of technology, so little things that are around the kitchen are nice, like this very nice sand mixers and all that stuff. But yeah, that's Boomer for you.
It's good to be home.
Yeah.
It's one of the places, especially for Boomer, where they always wanted to be. And because home is where the people that they want to spend the most time with, their loved ones, the people that are most important to them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there was this moment where you sense the sound of laughter and the feeling of many who might be occupying this home, but as you kind of flip one of those pancakes over and it kind of sizzles and it's getting ready to be plated, to be handed off to somebody, when you initially turn around, you notice that there's no one here, and those sounds of laughter and joy and occupation is gone, and you realize that you're alone here in this space. And though the walls that are built around you bring those familiarities of home, there's no one here to share it with you, or so you thought. And as you go back to what you were doing, as you continue to cook up a stack of pancakes like you do on a usual routine for yourself, whether it's before you go to your office or before you get a call, that familiar call that leads you to whatever destination they ask of you, to handle something you know that others shouldn't know about. All of a sudden, there is a sensation that someone is here with you, that you are not alone anymore, and that maybe at the dining table right behind you, somebody has come here to be with you in this journey that you are about to take. And when you turn back around, someone is there, your guide. Who is that? What do they look like?
The guide would actually be, and I'm going to drop a little Mayday lore, will be, you will see, if you will, a little bit older. I don't want to say like a middle age, like 45, similar height, built woman, a little bit older, has some graying hair, but doesn't maybe necessarily look like Boomer. I want to emphasize, like she, where Boomer is like a Latina multi-ethnic, this woman's actually on the fairer side, would say like Italian American, if you will, graying hair. And although, like I said, even though it may not look alike, there is going to be a little similarity, and that is going to be Boomer's aunt, who she calls Auntie Josie, who was also the original Boomer that was previous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Auntie Josie is there with you, the Boomer before you, the person most familiar with your line of work outside of the tech field. Someone who would understand you a lot more than most would when it comes to some of the darker aspects of your existence. And perhaps she's sipping on a cup of coffee, waiting for you there. But you're not alone.
Boomer will have like a plate of pancakes in her hand. Like I kind of almost see like she just had two plates that, whether she grabbed them before or they just popped up, kind of like stops her for a second. And she just like stares for a second, like, and then she just goes in like almost like a soft voice, like, Auntie Josie? Like, Auntie Josie? And at the first second of any kind of warmth or smile on that, she's going to kind of rush over and even like just kind of like mechanically put the pancakes in front of her. And she's going to sit down like very kind of processing everything. And I think will be the first time that Boomer's going to notice something different, where her outfit originally was very clean, but now that she's being faced with her aunt, she's gonna kind of glance down and notice like some red dripping onto the pancakes or to her things, and she's gonna notice that, thinking instead of like it was boysenberries, like what the? Then it's realizing it's blood coming down. That's like her first indication of like you're gonna see a wound that is actually seeping into, and then she's, if that makes sense, the terror of that is kind of hitting her, and she's like, it's please tell me that's you and not Nancy. Like she's gonna be like, please tell me that's you, not Nancy. Like she's just gonna mutter that, like, is it you? Is it you? Please be you, like that kind of thing.
She flashes a warm, welcoming smile to you. And maybe even as you kind of put that plate down, as the blood seeps down from the top of your shirt and maybe runs starting down the sleeve where it's starting to drip on that table, takes your hand. And as you, and though they don't necessarily say anything to you in that moment, as you hope and hope that it's not Nancy who fills you here with fear, when they touch your hand, you begin to feel a level of understanding coming from Auntie Josie. A sensation of empathy and openness and warmth that assures you that where you are at is relatively safe. And that this is not an evil that stares at you, but someone who has come to understand you.
This second that feeling happens, imagine, if you will, like pressure that was built up in Boomer just releasing, like instantly calming down. And not only that, inadvertently will tear up. Like that pressure was almost like built up in the head. And as soon as that peace and calm of safety happens, knowing that this is really like a loving energy, nothing to do where she was just at, it is like the relief becomes liquid in her. And it's not like she's crying. It's just like, like just like that instant relief of just like, okay, like she can relax for a fraction of a second. And she's gonna say something that is very like that hand holding. She goes, you know, all this happened because I was trying to find out what happened to you. Even I feel like with that objection, because it was the missing of her aunt that had her go down this journey. I feel like the second she said that, her aunt would just like kind of chuckle at herself. She goes, yeah. Like just like I was kind of hoping that wouldn't have happened. She goes, yeah, sorry about that, kid. Like that sympathetic, like, yeah, no, sorry about it. But it's one of those, it's a nice moment between the two where she's just like, oh.
And with that, let's draw our first card.
And I am picking, the 7 of Hearts.
7 of Hearts. 7 is a power card, but since we have not yet accumulated spite, there is nothing here to wager. Therefore, we will not be invoking such a power. But hearts are tethers of the soul of a person or living being of great significance. And for a 7, that is a childhood friend that has moved away. So let's talk about that. Who is this childhood friend? And And why have they left such an impression upon you in this moment?
I do have a question. This is, I'm so sorry. The childhood friend, does it have to be another child?
It's anybody. All of these people are people who are connected to you in some type of way. These prompts are for you to generally explore.
And
so it doesn't have to necessarily be an actual child, but it could be somebody from your childhood that you had a connection or a kinship to. This is purely on your interpretation of the prompt.
Then the childhood friend, actually, because this actually ties into Boomer's backstory, is the aunt. When she was a kid, Boomer really didn't have. Boomer's parents were basically, when I mean workaholics, they didn't see. So actually, her aunt actually kind of not only babysat her but watched her, but would play games, and it was the reason she got into technology. Like, really had fun with some of the tech growing up. And that was the only comfort Boomer got, or Maxine got at a young age, her aunt. And then she was too young to understand. She just knew one day her aunt moved to another city. And that comfort, the, hey, having the nice morning talk, silly thing, that changed immediately. Like, she then got a lot of babysitters after that and kept shuffling around, still had friends and all that, but it was she became more internal. That one was the hard one because it was like losing her kind of like best companion friend. She knew that wasn't her mom, but it almost felt like it, but also was the fun aunt to take her to museums and this. And one day she moves away, not really understanding, but why can't you be here? And then doesn't really get to continue that because her aunt dies not that long later. So it was kind of like the taken away and then permanently. That hurt her.
Roll me a d4.
Oh no. That is a 2.
A 2.
Yeah.
A 2 is a partial failure. Your actions here fail, but nothing gets worse. So let's talk about that. When a companion in childhood moves away and no other type of connection can kind of compare to it, what about this in this moment makes it difficult to let this kind of tether go? Why is Boomer unsuccessful in shaking or breaking such a tether? What does that look like to you?
I would say it created a lack of trust. It was hard to believe people when they say they're like, I'll see you again, don't worry, and then they don't. So it became that hard to, like, people will leave, but also actually kind of started the little bit of the sarcasm that Boomer really embodies later on in life, where she'll use personal stings and all that to protect herself. The sarcasm of, oh, whatever, it's okay, I was a kid, who gives a shit, like that starts, especially with her parents, where she starts acting out and then she starts to have a little bit of a smart ass mouth.
Roll me an additional d4.
Oh no. That's a 1.
A 1. You've rolled an odds, which means that you will not gain any progress towards your failure here.
Okay.
But you will acclimate spite instead.
Okay.
why does this become something that seeds bitterness or resentment or frustration, anger, a negative reaction to it, regardless of progress made?
You
To
left
this.
me. That's what she's thinking. You left me. And and she's aware that it's selfish. She's aware that it can be like from an adult point of view, but it's not the adult talking. This is the boomer that was hurt. And it was, you left me and you never came back. You lied to me. You're a lie. That a little bit of that childish instinct is what boomer kind of latches onto.
Childhood wounds are sometimes very hard to break. They are things that we often carry on into adulthood, and whether it becomes a lack of trust towards others or a type of resentment towards someone we deeply love. And while it might seem to be selfish at the time, this is more of a connection towards a child who desperately had a need that was no longer fulfilled by the person they wanted it from the most. And as you remember those lingering moments when someone so beloved had to say goodbye, and it was the last time you got an opportunity to see this person in person, and that last final embrace being held is let go and the separation grows wide, it ends up being just this hurt that just continues to ring out in one's heart. And though we wish to reconnect those moments, to put such childish ideas away, sometimes we can't. And perhaps it's also the catalyst that moves us forward when we start to look at how the future brings us forward into things when we lose that person and there's no opportunity to reconnect. But the more we look back on it, the less that hurt seems to disappear, and it's always been there, no matter what, as things kind of change, the opportunity to reflect still brings forth such a wound, and it's still felt, and it's even here, even now in these final moments, it's the only thing that can be felt, only thing that can be present, and it's still here with you, and it hasn't gone away, and it's just as intense as the day that wound was made. Mm-hmm. And as we slip away from this kind of notion, as we return back to our manifestation, that dining room table with a stack of pancakes between two people who love each other very much, who are present here in this moment, Auntie Josie and yourself. You look at Auntie Josie, and what you're met is with a level of understanding beyond comprehension, a degree of empathy and openness that perhaps maybe Auntie Josie never presented in their real life, but she's there and she's with you, and you are not alone. And with that, let us pull our next card.
Oh, okay. The Six of Hearts.
That's of Hearts. Beautiful.
I swear I did mix. I did shuffle the deck. That's so weird.
That is fine. The Six of Hearts, we return back to the soul. And the Six of Hearts is a lover that left without reason.
Okay. Then that would be the That would be the ex before Boomer met their wife, Liz. And their ex is named, sorry. Hold on. I had to, I'm going through the old archives of something with Boomer. I was about to say a name that was something else. Sada. Mm-hmm.
Who is Sada to you?
Sada was I want to say the first love, high school sweetheart. Boomer, when she was in her teenage years, both her parents were actually killed off. So later on, she actually ends up kind of taking in her younger sister in a way. So around this time, I would say almost senior year of high school, Boomer's kind of multitasking a lot of things at once. And Sada was kind of like the escapism of all the stress in a way. So while Boomer at this time was a little bit more serious, put together, Sada was super carefree, very artistic, kind of I want to say an artist with an edge into street art and all that. That intrigued Boomer. And it was, I want to genuinely say there was a puppy love and it was infatuation. And then while the stress of everything's going on and Boomer's taking more responsibility and working hard, Sada is not like that. She is truly acting like her age as a teenager in a way where it gets to the point where even complaining and whining on both sides, where they would just kind of nitpick each other, and they don't realize that while one is probably adulting a little bit more, the other wants to go to college and be more free, and they kind of have a bad falling out to the point where Boomer just gets a text and that was it, and doesn't hear back and gets bitter about that. It's wow, okay, means nothing, barely get something to the face, just drop off the existence. And a big thing about that was Boomer then gets a distaste for people or individuals that might be a little loosey-goosey, flaky. That kind of cavalier attitude actually is annoying, because to Boomer, she can't trust that. So when her wife gets involved, who's more different, more put together, that's a big thing. So
roll me a d4.
Okay, I'm not nervous about that. Are you? We got a 1 again.
A 1.
God, y'all, these dice are going to jail.
A 1 is a absolute failure.
Yeah.
Which means that you automatically add 1 to your failed progress, and you also earn yourself an additional point of spite. So let's talk about that. First loves can leave such impressions on us and create equally more wounds in our past. Why is this so hard to shake? And why does it bring resentment or anger or frustration or spite to this situation? It kind of ties to her younger sister, Melanie. She felt like Sada almost did a you or me, pick your sister or me, almost made it felt like Melanie was a burden. And as an older sibling, I feel like that manifested in a way where it went to a level where any person she was
kind of meeting from then on. It's like, you better get along with my sibling or I'm going to cut you out of my fucking life. I'm not going to even bother with that again. And I would even say, like, even to like in a degree with anybody in her, if she's bringing you into her life, you better get along. My sister better like you, because I will cut you out so hard. And it's it's a very, I could see where other people would be like, oh, okay. She goes, no, out, bye. And it's a very, like, if she even gets a hint, she will cut and actually be very rude. She goes, so I would say the overprotectiveness and very sensitivity, if any. So that's like any type of critique, if you're not like doing it in a way that Boomer likes about her sibling, she'll take that personally.
First loves can be sometimes the most immature kinds of love that we experience, especially one that is fostered at such a young age. And given the uphill battles one has to do when an older sibling also becomes a parent to a child, to a younger sibling, one has to maybe grow up a little bit faster than one would like, and center their entire universe around someone that absolutely needs a level of support and guidance in the way that your younger sister needed. And it's unfair sometimes when the people that we find intimacy with find love in, cannot understand the weight of the burdens that we carry with us. And when we're on different pages like that, and when love gets pitted against family, that is a difficult wound to experience in itself. It's almost like a betrayal in a way, that so too lingers further on in life. How can we trust people who don't see our families as extensions of our own love, and consider it a form of competition in it, than just a understanding that love can be a very multifaceted thing, and it connects us to not just one person but to a collective. And these kinds of pitfalls do carry on with us into adulthood, into hard expectations that we have for the next person who comes along in our life, who demands of us the role and the title of being a partner. And it can breed a bit of loneliness and bitterness and even fear when it comes to new people who come into our lives. And Sarah becomes this ever reminder that the trust that is so hard to come by for you, Boomer, comes from those who were not willing to understand you at a time where you needed it the most. And it does weigh, and it does add to the already hurt heart that is being felt here, already, as if another wound gets slashed in and sits and festers with you. And especially now in this place, in this time and stuff like that, that you are only coming back to wounds and not coming back to better days or better times or things that make that were part of the joys in your life. All we're here now are just heartache and the reminder that the world is just as cruel as the way you left it. And the spike grows deeper, and the failure continues. And you return back to your manifestation, back at that coffee table, your aunt sipping on their coffee, staring back at you, and you look upon them, and once again you are presented with a person who expresses from their being a level of understanding beyond comprehension, openness, and empathy. A person here to bear witness to these wounds and remind you ever that you are not alone here and that someone is sharing your journey. And with that, let us go and pick our last card.
6 of clubs.
6 of clubs. Excellent. Clubs are tethers of the self, a personal affliction. And the 6 of clubs is something out of your control. What is that to you?
The program. The fact that this kind of leads right into the program, which is, I would say, the biggest. To her, it is the catalyst of everything that changed a lot, not just in believing, but that in her mind is the beginning of the end, if in a way. And that I could Boomer probably, when she thinks of the program and she'll get flashes of like everybody from Merritt to Tuck, Warp, Hide and Seek, Nancy, all of that. It goes back to one particular moment, and that image is Boomer looking up information about her aunt, like really kind of going in. She's actually going through medical records and all that. And then the computer screen goes blank and some text starts typing out onto the screen that says, "Would you like to know what happened to your aunt, aka Agent Boomer? Type Y or N." And you're gonna see, like, it's that moment, and you can even see like where her hand just like kind of goes right to the keyboard and instantly just taps the Y key, and then that's where Boomer's just like you get like all that with the program, all that popping up. That's definitely her.
Roll me a d4.
Okay. Come on. Let's give Boomer something.
What'd you roll?
Boomer got screwed again. She got a 1. Another 1.
1, as we know, is an absolute failure, which means that you automatically add 1 to your failed progress.
Yeah.
And the spike continues to grow. So tell me, Boomer, what does this failure look like to you?
It is Boomer kind of like thinking of all like a bunch of like she's getting memories of cases with him, to even where they met Tuck the first time, that is not really on record anywhere, and it's only in a communication way, but like how that team was gone. Like you'll see how other team members around her died, to Mia, to the in-between, to meeting all of that. And with that, it's like you can see she's getting more and more angry and frustrated, and even to the point where maybe this is the goriest she's going to look, where it's not that the blood is flowing, but it's also like you can tell that it's just like she's getting angrier. Things are like maybe a little darker, and she is not only just mad at like you could tell anything with the program just thought is just frustrating, angering her, but also at the same time, it always constantly goes back to that her hitting the Y key. And it's basically her more mad at herself that she was just like, if I just said no. But she did it. And that's, I think if anything, that's what maybe is not causing a loop, but with all that memory, it's always coming back to that memory. And I would say she even gets to the point where when she's back at the dining room table, she may even just like react in a physical way and just slam her hands down or something, or she would just react in a way that would make that anger even manifest in maybe some way.
You look at that screen that holds that familiar prompt, that yes, that no, and when you do press the Y over and over and over and over again, so too comes the binary code that fills that screen. And as you read through those lines and numbers, it just reads out every moment in which you spent all of this time at this program, where you got a phone call, when you got a letter, when you got a box that was sitting on your doorstep. Every time you were called to come here to do something, to take care of business for the knowledge that you knew, there was something about it that you couldn't just let go of it. And you, every time you put on your go bag, you headed out that door, you flew across country and across the world. And when you start looking through that code, you come to realize that while you don't know exactly the reason or the way that your aunt passed away, does it even matter when you know that the result of it is the same result you experienced, the same results that were saw in the Eldridge, that was sought at Devil's Night in 1984, that was sought in Caligari, in all of these, just the multitudes of lives and souls just like you, who thought that they could do the same thing as you, that you could make a difference here, that you could be the person that could stand against evil and stop it for the people that you love, for the people that you leave behind, that the sacrifice is going to mean something. And it just sits there and it festers within you, that despite all of that, it renders the same result over and over and over again. Carnage, death, madness, and it's a never-ending cycle. We are doomed to continue to repeat this over and over and over again, whether it be you, whether it be Tuck, whether it be Merritt, whether it be Hyde or Warp, or any other person who takes and shakes the hand of this program and agrees that this is the path forward for you. And even when you slam your hand on that dining room table and the plates and cutlery shaken and rattle themselves about, and you look at your aunt, who has also too participated in this cycle, it doesn't change anything, because you're still here, wherever this might be for you, that you're sitting across the table from somebody who too shares your fate, and there's nothing that can be done. It is far out of our control. You are just another case file, another story in a green box. And was it all worth it? You sit in an empty home that should be filled with love and joy and laughter and all the things that make life worth living, and it's empty. Just pancakes and bloodstains and hopes and regrets of the past, of people that have left you behind, of people that might have loved you for a moment but could never deeply understand you, for a system that is truly brutal and unfair. And we are here, standing here in this moment, unchanged by it, dealing with the way the cards have been dealt and how the dice have been rolled. We're here. And you look at your aunt and they look back at you, and you're met again, with truly a deep level of understanding, openness, and empathy that not only is one here to bear witness to this journey that you are taking, but someone who may have understand you the absolute most, who has given themselves up the same way that you have, who understands the sacrifice that was made, and more importantly, how unfair it all is. And she looks at you, and things start to kind of settle down. That wave of emotions begin to kind of cease. And that is the first time she puts her cup down, Aunt Josie. And she gets up from the table, and she comes over to you, first to put a hand on your shoulder, maybe squeeze it just a bit to give you pressure. But then that hand kind of falls away and opens up for you to take, as she begins to lead you somewhere else from here, from your home, maybe right out the door. And where we're going is what's known as the Crossing. The Crossing is a place in which a location that goes into different directions. This could be something like an airport or a bus stop, a train station, stairwells even, forks in the road. This could also represent as portals, like a door being doors or gates, cave entrances, pools even. For Boomer, where your aunt leads you off to, what is this crossroad? What is this crossing? Where do we find ourselves in a place that diverts onto many directions?
I have to say, the minute you said it, it was the instant correct answer, which was it was an airport. It's an airport, and if we're like leaving the front door through the dining room to the living room to out the front door, it's like you're immediately hit with like maybe the noise, even if no one is there, of a busy airport, and you are, I would say, right in front of the departed of the planes, but it's not filled yet until whatever crossing. So if it's like one left, one right, you would see two destinations, and then you might be seeing final boarding call.
During this time of the crossing, we take a moment to review upon the successes and failures we earned, the spite built along the way, and we come to make definitive action here. And there's two ways to do it, which is contested, which we would pull dice pools between our successes and failures and roll against those and see what those results might be. Or we can reflect upon it, where we just look at those successes and failures and spite and think about it and talk it over and come to our own conclusions. Boomer in this instance has acclimated no success, 2 failures, and 3 spite. So how would you like to handle this? Just pure reflection, or?
I think the dice have not worked in my favor, so we're just going on pure reflection. This is all on us.
So you have these 2 failures with you, and a lot of anger and resentment that has been kind of built looking at those 3 different moments. How does Boomer feel about all of this? Standing in an airport gateway, looking to take the next plane out, you know? Will this result in Boomer shedding all of this feelings and emotions and resentment and or frustrations, and let go and move on? Or is there something here that compels Boomer to stay on, to remain here, to live this out? How do we see this? And ultimately, what is our final decision?
While Boomer's kind of like standing there, it's like she looks up and then looks down and then realizes she has 2 plane tickets in her hand. Looks up, sees that info, goes a little bit more, and basically flight Y versus flight N, like the computer ones are popping up, and she's gonna look at the Y because that's always what she's done. And while she does that, that's even gonna say first class, business class. It's gonna show like the best seat, like row A1, this and that, priority boarding. Or N is like boarding group 8, middle row seat, back end economy. And this is probably, I think, the first time that Melanie, Liz, and her business partner, Evans, because he was actually friend, and she stares at the Y ticket, the one with the yes, to possibly loop around. But as soon as she tries to, that's not what pops in her head. It's the mission, even everything that we went through, all that. It basically, the best way I could say it is she could feel the pain of all that still repeating. And then she glances to the N one, and that's when she's going to notice like her aunt also had the N flight ticket. Maybe the aunt goes, "Don't worry, I got the aisle seat. You can lean on me." And that one is going to be weird, because that's going to be, the best way she can describe it is, it's not going to be a comfortable journey, and that's not the point. But where she was feeling so much like almost that repetitive, like this and this, it's the other one feels like almost like a nice ocean breeze. It's calming, it's soothing, and it's worse in a way where she is hearing, like when she focuses on that ticket, she's actually going to hear Liz, and Melanie, and Evans, people who may be still around, but they're talking about Maxine in the distant future, because it'll be like Melanie sounding older, being like, "Oh, something I missed," or something like that. Hearing Liz say something about maybe Maxine passing or missing, basically the fallout of the future. But it continues, and from that pain, she will hear that maybe they're slowly falling in love again, or finding their love, or kind of life moving on. And it hurts Boomer, but it's a different hurt, because it's like, I'm not going to be there. And that sounds amazing. but that's not a future I'm a part of. So even with all of that, I would say like Boomer will kind of like drop the first ticket, clutch the end one, and she's gonna start crying. And when I mean, she kind of like she just starts crying, but it's almost like she goes back to being a little kid again with her aunt and kind of grabs her and like a grabbing and holding on and just not letting go for a minute. And then her just going, can we go now? Like, yeah, I want to go now.
So is this Boomer letting go and moving on, or is this Boomer?
Yeah.
saying-
No, this is Boomer's way of kind of hitting her no key. No, I'm not going to repeat. No, I can't go back. But because of that like nice little thing of where she feels like her wife, friends, and all that will be in like years to come, she's like, that's okay. Like, she's gonna grab her aunt and be like, we can go now. We can, and then points to the gate where I feel like there'd be like a gate there, be like gate 13, 14 or something. She's gonna point to the end gate and then just like, can we go now? And maybe all of a sudden a flight attendant, and as soon as that kind of happens, for some reason, you're just gonna see like a flight attendant go to the podium and be like, final boarding call?
The final boarding call kind of message kind of hits up, and you look down at that ticket and you realize that it's your seating row that's being called in. And you look up at your aunt, you look over to your aunt, and while you see parts of the visage of this familiar person, this person who has come to share in their journey, there's a moment, maybe just a brief flicker where their visage looks slightly different. It's a person, a being that's shrouded in a cloak in which you cannot see what their face looks like, but it's only a blip where before it turns back to your aunt, who holds that familiar warm smile and this constant radiation of care and empathy and warmth. And she motions over to for you to come with her, to get on that plane, to head out to your destination. And as we reach our epilogue here,
Yeah.
this becomes just one final moment for Boomer, one final reflection here of your character, bringing this story to a notable end and saying goodbye in the best way Boomer knows how to do.
So, as Boomer, I would say, in the most Boomer way, kind of, I would want to say, like, the second, like, that flicker of the cloaked figure, I won't lie, Boomer would have hesitated for a fraction of a second, only because she was fearful that it would be Nancy, like, it's all a big trick. And then I'm going to make it pointful that she's going to still choose to do that, because she's like, that's fear, go forward. And as soon as like Boomer gets, I would say she's going to approach the ticketing, go to the counter, like obviously get scanned, go on board. I say like we see Boomer boarding it could be like the seats are all empty or whatnot, or maybe they're just whatever, or maybe there's just one seat in a far back of the plane where it's just two, it's just literally the two, and I get the middle and I'm up against the bathroom. I would say the best way Boomer's gonna be like, of course, I'm like, even in the afterlife, I'm gonna get fucked in this middle row seat. Like, she's just like the middle row. She's like, Auntie Josie, I'm gonna, like, just kind of like, even if it's just this two, she's gonna be like, I'm napping on you. That's what's gonna happen. Okay, hold on. Do they sell wine here? And as soon as, like, they would say they get in the middle seat, there's just like wine here. I'm gonna, if it was possible, like a flight attendant would come by. Hi, would you like some red? I'm like, yes. And she's gonna take the 2 glasses of wine. She's like, I'm in the middle row. If I'm going, like, just her, just with 2 glasses. And I just think it'd be funny that the aunt eventually got her own glass, but Boomer just downs one, maybe a little too quick. But it's Boomer and the aunt kind of toasting. And right before, like, they sip together, even though Boomer already drank, she just goes, okay. I just need this. I just have to know. And I know I'm right, but I just got to know for sure. Yeah, just like, Agent Boomer. Was that a Battlestar Galactica reference? And then the aunt is going to go, and the aunt's going to go, yeah, yes, it was. And then Boomer's going to be like, I knew it. And that's how I would say you're going to have Boomer shout, I knew it, on the plane. As she drinks, she goes, I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Boomer, you head into that plane, you settle in for a flight that leads to a unfamiliar destination. You have chosen here in this moment to break a long cycle that has weighed so heavily on your life. And despite the sadness of it all, the frustration of it, the maybe even the bit of resentment or fear that comes with the unknown, where we have to leave those we care about most at the gate and take a leap forward to whatever it is that comes next from this point. In the usual Boomer fashion, there is always an opportunity to find just a bit of joy, or to be what Boomer has always been, this very funny, sarcastic, intelligent individual who sought to, like many, to bring good to the world in the way that they thought was the right way. And even though that rendered the result of an untimely end, where there was so much life ahead of us that could have been, more love to be given to a loving wife, more care to given to a small sister, more business to be done with a partner who shared in your aspirations for a better future. You know in your heart that as life continues to move on, those things will still happen. And you can rest here knowing that life continues to move on, and you are free of the cycle in which had trapped you for longer than you would admit to like. And as you clink your wine glass with your aunt, and the plane doors close, and you begin to taxi out, and we return to that gate of the people who you love so much stand there to see you off. So too does that figure, that hooded, shrouded individual who has been here with you to bear witness to this journey, to the moments in your life that had manifested itself. And as that plane reaches the tarmac, as the control tower radios in and says that we are clear for takeoff, it's time to go. And as you sit there and the engines start to roar, loudly as that first lurch moves you forward and picks up speed until you begin to take flight, and so does the rest of the world here. Witness that plane climb higher and higher and higher until it hits the clouds and it disappears out of sight. And as that hooded figure stands there in this airport, everything begins to start to dissipate away. Your home kitchen fades away. The bustling sounds of this airport dissipate. Each and every person you held dear vanishes into the void until it's just this hooded figure, and even this hooded figure itself eventually fades away back into the nothing that once held something very dear. That is where we're going to end this session and the story of Boomer. Wonderful.
I'm just like, the idea of Boomer finally getting on a flight.
Right?
I like to think that if, well, no, I can't say anything that could be a potential spoiler. That I was going to say, if only I had a certain pilot. I like to think it was Campbell. It was Soups. It was Soups as the pilot. You'd be like,
maybe it could have been.
Oh, a Soups up.
Well, thank you guys all for joining us here today to tell this wonderful story, our last and final ghost of this series. If you found Ghostfi to be something that you might be interested in a way for you or your table to be able to explore characters who might still have some loose ends in their chapters, who you feel need an opportunity to say goodbye to, or to explore the many multifacetedness of their beings, I suggest that you look into the description below and purchase Ghostfi for yourself and see if this game is right for you. I wrote this in 2022 with the hopes for players to find peace for characters that they put their own hearts and souls into, and to give them proper goodbyes when stories do not allow them to find those kinds of ends. So I hope you come to get one for yourself and see where it takes you. But thank you so much again for coming in, and stay tuned for the next level of stories, or the new stuff that we here at Mayday will be making along the way. But until then, we'll see you soon.